back to Gridiron Media. We're on the air again. John Bowman with you, and a special guest out of Nebraska, of all places. Big Red Country. Oh, my goodness.
Go Big Red.
Yeah, go Big Red. I guess so. But see, now, back in the day, this was all about, Colorado and CU. That was the big rivalry. Or at least that's what McCartney wanted to make it out our way.
Right.
The folks in Nebraska never even took it to heart. They said,
that's right.
Let's see you. But Coach Evans, and we're talking to Araf Evans. He's a coach out in Nebraska, and you're in Elkhorn. Is that right, or is that a suburb of?
It's a suburb of Omaha. So
okay.
I consider it all Nebraska, or excuse me, I consider all of it Omaha, but it's a suburb of Omaha.
Sure. And what's it like living out there on the big plains?
Right now, it's cold. It's cold, but at the same time, we wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah. And now, did you guys get any snow overnight?
We did. And, it's crazy to believe that last week we were outside playing football and now it's snowing. So if you don't like the weather, wait an hour.
Yep, that's about ours is 15 minutes. So yeah, we're right in the same boat. Hey, talk a little bit about the program that you've got going out there. It's relatively new.
Yes, we're in the second season. Last year we started a 112U team. Did very well for our first year, and through all of our success and accolades, we were able to grow our program and go from 1 to 4 teams, and have over 50 kids in our program for the second season. So we're definitely in our infancy, but the sport is growing. We're gaining a lot of media attention from the social networks, and getting these kids that exposure. That's the whole name of the game. That's what we're trying to do, because at the same time, don't quote me on the statistic, but before we started, I want to say that there were only 5 kids out of the state of Nebraska who got D1 scholarships.
What?
Yeah, I want to say that was in 2018 when I read that somewhere. So for full rides, and that's something that's very important to us, because it's Operation Free School. We got a lot of talent out here, but for lack of a better term, I think that a lot of the recruiting platforms sleep on Nebraska, because we're not a hotbed state that can go out and play football 12 months out of the year, like Florida, Texas, you have it down there in those other states. So with all that being said, it's getting our kids a lot more exposure, allowing them to compete at a high level against the top athletes in the nation, and at that same token, giving them that exposure that they're deserving to.
Yeah, in addition to the football, the skill sets, what other kinds of things are you trying to offer the young people that jump in the program?
Great question. One of the things is the experience. With our program, we have guest coaches, so to speak, that come and drop those gems, a little bit of tutelage to what they know, what they've taught some of the greats. For example, one of our coaches, our wide receiver guru, is Keith Williams, Coach Dub. Shout out to wideouts. He coached or coaches Tyreek Hills, walk-ins, Stanley Morgan, Kenny Stills. Then you go down the line. Tay Adams. I mean, the top 2 receivers for touchdowns this past NFL season were Tay Adams and Tyreek Hill. So to have that type of professional coaching involved in our program, and still that type of skill set for those kids who were 12 and up, I wish I would have had that when I was that age. So
sure. And how are the kids receiving all of that?
Oh man, well, you know what? It's funny.
Because they don't know who he is. They don't know.
That's where I was going. A lot of them don't know who he is, but that's a beautiful thing. It's a catch-22 with the social media, but at the same time, it gives our kids access to a lot more information that we would have had to go look up, and not have it at the liberty of our fingertips as they do now. So after he came in for the first time, a lot of the kids were, who's this guy? And after their own research, they're like, oh man, he coached Super Bowl champ Tyreek Hill. So it gained a lot more notoriety, and it definitely had an impact on those kids. So to have that exposure, to have those experiences at a young age is something tangible that gives them something to look forward to, and a connection that they can always rely and say, "Hey, Unc, I'm working on this release. Like, what can you do?" And he's one of the greatest coaches I've ever met.
And so when they do find out, as opposed to when you come in, a lot of times, somebody will come in and, somebody will read a big old thing about him, and he did this, he did that, and everything else. And, you sit there and you say, oh, yeah. But then once you look it up and you get it almost independent from that, it means a lot.
It definitely it hits a little different. It hits a little different. Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have young people in the program yourself? Your young kids?
I've got one 12-year-old boy. He's 12 going on 19. Kid thinks he knows everything, but I remember I was the same way at his age, so he gets it out.
Yeah. And so what are some of the life lessons you hope your youngster and the rest of the kids get from playing football and playing sports?
I think football football teaches you more about life than anything else can, and not just specifically to football, but sports in general. It teaches you a lot of life lessons as far as teamwork, how to get along with others, to strive towards one common shared goal. You might have to deal with people who you don't necessarily like, or we've all had our fair share of bad coaches, and we've all had our fair share of bad bosses, if you will. So there's a lot of things that football transitions and correlates, not just inside the lines, but outside the lines, and teaches you and develops you outside the game.
I like that because it does. When you watch kids in a huddle, the interaction in a huddle, it tells you a lot about every player on the team.
Absolutely. And you know what? And I'm gonna butcher this quote, but it's one of my favorite quotes from Dabo Swinney. Dabo said, "If you want to cure racism, put a football in the backyard." And so that's something that we try not to see any colors. And with our program, we have kids from all across the state of Nebraska. We've got kids traveling 2 hours one way, 4 hours total for a 1 hour practice this year. So when you got kids from rural Nebraska and you got kids from the inner city coming together, it doesn't matter what team you play for from a tackle standpoint, but now we have one common goal, and that's to represent the state of Nebraska. And I think we do it pretty well.
And so talk a little bit about that. Is Elkhorn High School the main funnel for all of this?
No, Elkhorn High School is what my son's slated to go. However, at the same token, we've got kids from all different high schools here in this area. For example, the vast majority of our program's growth has been from Bellevue West kids, and Bellevue West just won not only the basketball state championship, but the football state championship as well this year for the state of Nebraska. So it's been key and vital to not focus on one area for our program, because we truly want to get the best and the elite kids in the state.
Going out on the plains and getting the big beef-fed kids.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so when you're like coaching from the back and the kids are huddling and they're calling their own plays or calling the plays that you're calling and recalling them, a lot of times, once there's a good hit or a kid gets knocked down or something, you can pick out the kids in the huddle.
That's
We're
right.
going to pull that kid back up and say, "Hey man, come on, let's go. We got to go. You need to hit that block. You need to hit that hole." And I mean, those are part of the life lessons that you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. There's no greater educator than adversity.
That's true. That's very true. We're finding that out right now.
Absolutely.
How are you now? How has this this virus situation? How has that hit you guys out there in Nebraska?
Well, I think it's taken everybody by storm. Unfortunately, this has been an epidemic that we have not foreseen. I think we've kind of found that out with the rapid closures and for lack of a better term, sanctions that have been put on different areas. This wasn't something that was foreseen or planned or expected. So we're dealing with it the same as everybody else, day by day. However, at the same time, one of the things that we try to instill in our kids is that we can only worry about what we can control, and we can only do what we can do. And so what we can do is to manage our expectations, manage our hygiene, and health is the most important thing, because at the end of the day, this game has a shelf life. And so it's truly about taking these kids' health as the top priority, and making sure that we continue to grow a program and get these kids these opportunities that they deserve.
Oh, my wife is yelling at me. It's Jake from State Farm. I couldn't resist.
I don't have my hazmat suit or khakis on today.
I couldn't resist. Hey,
I gave it just for you guys.
and did you guys? You mentioned that one of your teams out there did go ahead and they finished up the state playoffs in winter sports.
Yeah, well, several players on our team were on that state championship.
So they just barely got it in before this virus.
That's right. That's right.
Because out here in Colorado, some of the teams didn't get to finish.
Yeah. So it's been a blessing, and I don't necessarily know what the lesson is, but we have faith, and I think God instills a lot of hope into where we're going, and we have to trust Him for that.
And so now with the uncertainty of spring sports and the uncertainty certainly of summer sports, they're talking about this might not be dealt with until maybe late August, maybe even into the fall. That's certainly. Will you guys try to get workouts going, or will you try to do like small batches, or specialty programs? How are you going to cope with trying to keep up to speed? Anticipating a September game days.
That's a great question. We just had a board meeting Tuesday, and that was something that was brought up, and in effort to keep all the kids safe and to abide by maximum of 10 people group gathering capacity, we're looking at trying to do something innovative and keep the kids engaged. So one of the things that we're looking at doing is using our social media platform as somewhat of a motivational tool for those kids to work out on their own. So we're going to have them send us videos of them working out, and we're going to post those, and we'll do somewhat of a bracket of who's got the best video. So it keeps them engaged. It's going to keep them motivated, and it's going to give them a little bit of a competition. Keep encouraging that competitive nature while they're in isolation.
Well, and that goes right to the share and compare that we have with the AYS on the Gridiron kind of program as well. Where coaches and leagues are able to put up some of the statistics of players and teams and like that. And not to say this is number one or number two, but just to see this is what they're doing, this is what we're doing, and how can we share and how can we compare our numbers and our goals.
Absolutely, I truly believe we are better together.
Yeah. And so, if you had to say how your career got going, you started playing football where?
So I played ball. You date me a little bit, yes. I played football at the University of Northern Iowa.
Okay.
So I had a lot of great coaches in my tenure there. One of them, who is now the head coach for the University of Nebraska, Scott Frost, was my position coach at the University of Northern Iowa for 2 years. And to be honest with you, Scott was one of the greatest coaches I've ever had. He's one of the main reasons why I coach today. I learned more from him in 2 years than I did my entire career, short, brief career in football. And he took us, at first year he was there, we missed the playoffs. And that next year we ended up losing, went undefeated in the regular season, which was the first time in Gateway history to do that. So we set records and lost to Joe Flacco in the playoffs. But neither here nor there.
It was that when he was with Delaware, right?
That's right. That's right.
Yes, my nephew played on that team. He was a linebacker.
Oh, he did? Okay.
Jimmy Higgins.
Small world. Yep. Small world. So I played against your nephew. Yep. But the difference in those teams and the way that we were able to perform and just the camaraderie and those things that he instilled, it meant a lot to us. It meant a lot to me. And so from seeing how much one man, one coach, one person can make a difference, it really made me decide to want to get into coaching.
And what was it about football for you that said, hey, I want to do this. I want to play in college. I want to go as far as I can go and see what happens. What was it about football that pulled you in?
You know, it was a family thing. For one, my grandfather played semi-professional football. My uncle he played Division II. We got full ride scholarship to Truman State, and so I always looked up to them. Those were my role models and father figures, if you will. So it was one of those things where it's something that we just did as a family. But not only that, my mother was single mother who worked 3 jobs, and sports was my outlet. And I realized to go anywhere, to get into school and not come out with a lot of debt, it was imperative that I used my God-given ability to earn a scholarship, and that's exactly what we did.
What position?
So I got recruited at receiver, and I got a full ride for receiver. But after I got there, found out I couldn't catch a cold. I blame it on the left-handed quarterback that we had. Ball coach I did, but I ended up my last 2 years starting at outside linebacker.
There you go. Elway or Peyton Manning?
Oh, great question. I'm a Colts fan, so I got to go with Peyton.
LeBron or MJ?
Oh, man, you going to do that to me on live, on air? Oh, man. I think they both are the greatest of their time in their eras. Different eras give that a hard question. I don't want to get put on blast by either one of them. So I'm going to say both.
And finally, how about this one? Brady or Mahomes?
Ooh. Mahomes has changed the game in different ways that I don't think Brady has outside of him winning the rings. Brady by far is the greatest of all time, just due to the fact that he knows how to win, he knows how to lead his team. But I also believe that he has a great system around him. At the same token, I think Patrick Mahomes is going to be, and hopefully surpasses Tom. But it'll be interesting to see what he does this year with the Bucs. Yeah,
exactly. And I don't know. I still think he's got a year or two, but
Yeah,
it's who you got around you, like you said. And
that's right.
And for Mahomes, now when he went down in October, playing was a Monday night game or something, or Thursday night game against the Broncos, and I thought for sure Broncos would come back and win that game, but they got toasted with the backup quarterback.
That's right. This is purely speculation, but
absolutely.
If I had to take an assessment of it, if you look at the last 10 years, excluding this past season with Patrick Mahomes as a quarterback, there hasn't been a true mobile quarterback that has won a Super Bowl. If you think about it. So if your objective and your main narrative is to win games and win a Super Bowl, then why go against the grain?
Yeah. But at the same time, Russell Wilson has been there, and
I think Russell's more of a pass first guy. I would consider him a pocket passer.
I think the longer they're in the league, I think that comes around too.
Absolutely.
I can't get to the outside like I could in college.
Right.
You know, the pro field. Now, if the field was bigger like the Canadian league,
yeah,
room to work with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got some room to work with.
Miss Jackson's boy would have had over 2,000, 3,000 yards then.
You know, what about the XFL? You think that's got is there any life for that? Is there any future in that?
I love that outlet, and I love the opportunity for those to continue to keep playing. For example, another one of our guest coaches is DeMornay Personnel and Brandon Riley. They both play for St. Louis Battlehawks, and so it's definitely been something valuable for them, and it's affected us here in Nebraska. It's given us something to look forward to in the off season, if you will, for the NFL. But at the same time, it keeps them playing. It keeps the passion of the game. I think it's good for the sport, and I hope that they continue next year. I hope this doesn't shut them down.
Yeah, I really like the kickoff, the way they do the kickoff.
Yeah.
When nobody's going 100 miles an hour and somebody's standing still. You know?
Absolutely.
And it's got some neat little nuances to it. At the end, you go for 3 points.
Yeah. I like it. It's a good change up, especially for the off season.
What do you think about this season? I mean, is the NFL going to get to go?
I'm hoping so. However, I lean back at what I said earlier, that it's one of those things that we can't control it. So I can't worry about it.
Yeah, and you just hope that with the intensity of not only football but baseball and some of the other sports. I mean, this is you use the preseason, if you will, to get in shape, to get your body in shape, to get your head in shape. And without that, and if they have to start right up with games, I mean, we saw what happened when they had the strike years a few years back.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be a true testament of showing those who really want it, because now you have to force yourself to work out in isolation. So I think this has an opportunity to separate the good from the great.
And so, if you we're talking with a young man out of
Omaha, Nebraska.
Okay, Arif Evans. He's a coach of one of the Nebraska programs out there. The
Nebraska Elite.
Nebraska League, is that what you call it?
Nebraska Elite.
Oh, Nebraska Elite. I see the hat. There we go.
Yes, sir.
And it's you got the Junior Storm and a couple other teams out there as well?
Yes.
So bottom line is, what do you tell your kids now about getting ready for summer practices and stuff?
I have faith. Lord Savior is going to provide us the way and the path to make sure that we all get to where we need to go in our destination safely, and to keep grinding, enjoy this time, and find out what you're made of in isolation. Great things from adversity. Yeah,
and pushing yourself. If you could do that, you got the intestinal fortitude that a lot of kids don't have, and so that will not only test you, but it will make you stronger.
That's right. No smooth sea ever made a skillful sailor.
I like that. All right. So Arif, right?
Correct.
Arif Evans, coach out of Nebraska. Good to have you on Gridiron Media today. And don't forget, anytime you need to post your stats or any thoughts, give us a yell, and we'll get you back on, and we'll talk, and we'll hope that you can impart some knowledge for other coaches and other players around the country, because that's what this is all about, making sure the young people get the kind of attention they need as they're coming up, as opposed to having to wait till high school and stuff like that.
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys having us.
All right, that's going to do it for AYS on the Gridiron this time. John Bowman, we'll see you again next time.
Appreciate it.